would you put up here?
Fuck. That's a good question. I don't know. I would put, who's a good embodied man or person? You don't meet a lot, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's a good question, man. Everyone has demons. Oh. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Who has been like one of your like role models when you were like on your path?
Prince.
I
probably put Prince in a sense of, I think mine would be more around the expression of artistry. Because I think artistry is such an important aspect of masculine or also just being a human being. And I think Prince was the embodiment of unapologetic artistry. So Prince would be up there for sure. It'd be more like musicians and artists in what they represented. I think that's how it would look.
Interesting. Does that relate to like self-expression and the importance of that for your life right now?
Huge. You know, dressing yourself. Are we starting? We started?
We started, yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. It relates to self-expression, absolutely. It's, to me, the most important thing to being a human being. If you cannot express all parts of you, light and darkness, manifesting as this bubble of creativity as self-expression, then I don't think that we're living as human beings completely. I think it's the most important thing for health and just the human experience is to unapologetically tap into all the parts of you and from that place, express those parts of you because everyone has a gift. Everyone. Every person has a gift. Even the most logical-minded, rigid, stiff-hip human being that you'll meet has such a gift that they were tapped into as a child. But everything else but that was celebrated and they repressed it and it stuck. But, you know, there's people that have such a worthwhile, influential expression that are so afraid to express it. But the irony is that the very thing they're looking for, human connection, is on the other side of that expression. So we pull ourselves from human connection, love, depth, by repressing those parts of us that we've had since we were kids. It's such a weird, ironic cycle that we live in. You can break it. You just got to face some dark stuff. That's the thing.
Face what you're most afraid of, maybe.
Yeah, what you're most afraid of. And the thing is, we don't know what we're most afraid of because we do all the things to run away from that darkness. And until we stop and move that lens inward and look at ourselves, look at our behaviors, look at our patterns, first from the logical standpoint, but more importantly, closing your eyes and actually feeling what is present in the body, working with the intelligence of the body, working with the language of the body, then all of those things inevitably and seamlessly begin to come up. It just takes the person going inward without fear, curiosity, and patience. And as that unfolds, those parts of you that have been disconnected begin to show their faces. And they're not demons. They're just darker parts that are unlovable and unwitnessable in our perspective. And until we look at them, we're not living as an integrated whole human being. And we keep repeating the same cycles in work, in love, in work again, in every relationship, family. It's the same cycle. We can break them, but we have to look inward. And not saying it from a woo-woo place. There's actionable things we can do that I teach people how to look inward.
The first step is blending the rationality of like understanding it, but also feeling it in your body and being courageous enough to be curious and have a non-judgmental perspective on yourself.
Yeah. And we, as a society, have looked at mental health from the lens of logical understanding. Everyone wants to understand themselves better. And I'm a proponent of therapy as a tool to open a door, but it's definitely not the tool that's going to be curative to mental health. And I say that, and I know it can be controversial, but it's the truth. It's the truth. You can't fix something that is stuck in the body from the realm of logic and mental. You can't. Mental health issues are a downstream effect of somatic repression. And the way to access that somatic expression is through feeling. And really, the only way to feel is to get quiet and connect to that part of the body. The body has its own language. It has its own medicine. It has its own step-by-step unfolding. That's not accessible through talking. It's not. You can't talk. You gotta be quiet. You gotta feel. When we sit in a therapeutic space, we're talking. And I'm telling you, hey man, tell me more about your dad. And you tell me about your dad. And then I catch something within the realm and the context of what I know and my lens as a therapist. And I start seeing things, and then I start pointing things out, and I give you some tools at home, better communication, some things to really get off your chest and journal. That's amazing because it actually gets things moving. But until you stop and feel and connect and feel deeper and create a relationship, not only with your body, but specific parts of your body, even organs, nothing is going to change. And that's the problem. We're stuck in a mental health crisis because everyone is paying thousands and thousands of dollars year after year with their therapist. Some people are like, I've been in therapy for 10 years. I said, and you ain't better? Why you keep going? What's going on? What are you running away from? It shows you that there's a tree. It doesn't show you the roots. The only way personalized and specific to your roots that can be revealed is through taking the time to create a relationship with your body, just like you had when you were a kid.
Mm. And I imagine that message to some people who are highly like intellectual, will be like, they want to intellectualize everything, understand everything.
Yeah.
It will be like, what do you mean by feeling? Like,
yeah. There's 6 guys on this wall right now who would have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? But there's also multiple guys that, to me, I see pain and I see unprocessed pain. The biggest problem we have in American society, especially with men, is that they've stepped into this role of being celebrated for their logical achievements. And that's not to take away logical achievements. Intellect is fantastic. We create inventions from intellect. We create structures through intellect, social structures, our own structures. That is a really important aspect of masculine health. We actually need to be able, as men, to initiate, create structure, execute. The problem is that society is structured around celebrating that. So men derive their sense of self through, oh, the smarter I am, the more I push and hustle and push, the more that, okay, I'll be compensated with money, but that's not about the money. Something much deeper for the men here, right? The more I'll gain the love that my mom never saw me for, the more I'll gain the adoration and respect that I don't have from my dad, the more I'll just feel better in my body, knock on wood, quote unquote, right? Feel better in my body, but really it's just feeling better as in their ego by accomplishing all of these things that I think I need to do as a man. It's not a problem to provide. We need to do that. The problem is that a lot of the men that I see in their logical minds who are celebrated in entrepreneurial space, health and wellness, are the same exact things that fail in relationships. I can guarantee for me that there's a few men on this wall who have deep issues with their relationships with women. Why? Because the very things they're celebrated for in the world are the very things that are not celebrated in relationship. It's depth, it's connection, it's emotional capacity, it's emotional expansion, right? It's self-awareness, it's peace in the body. It's being able to hold your partner through all his or her emotions that they have. And when I look at men, I see such brilliant minds and such painful, wounded boys. I do. And it's just out of balance. It's just out of balance. So, but that's the thorn in the structure of society is that we get celebrated for that, man. Do you know how many people told me in school, you're so smart, man. You achieve so much. You're such a hustler, all this stuff. I go, yeah, I am. Great, and money comes and I feel good about myself. But man, I felt empty. I've worked with a lot of men. They feel empty. I've worked with CEOs. They're some of the most chaotic internally. They're running away from a lot of shit. Their relationships are falling apart. What's going on? Nobody's showing them what's in the body. They don't feel whole. They feel disconnected. They're not integrated. And because of that, their businesses are succeeding, but their life is failing. Their relationships are failing to themselves and everyone else, including their children. That's the problem.
So like on the outside and externally, they look successful and are admired and people want to be like them and like, wow, you get these compliments. But there's a disconnect on how they feel on the inside towards what they're doing. And you're saying it's a defensive mechanism of being intellectualizing stuff to not being able to be embodied and connect with yourself and other people.
Absolutely. Because every person that I see in that internal pain was a child when they were young. Every successful CEO was a child when they were young. And that child was artistic. That child was loving. That child was connected to animals, was connected to their cousins and their mom. And they cried when they needed to cry. They got mad when they needed to get mad, right? They were connected to presence. They were just with themselves and everything was fine. They didn't need to be, do, say, have anything else other than their experience. Literally, God was flowing through them. So what the hell happened? You're right when you use the word compensation or defense mechanism, because at some point early on in their childhood, they learned the little boy that they need to be in relation to the household. Dad, especially modeled through dad, and relationship of dad and mom, and how they need to show up for mom. And so the identity around the age of 7 begins to form and starts to solidify. The problem is that children are really self-centered. So if there's an issue in the house, it's automatically about them. Children feel shame really deeply. If they have an issue themselves at home and they want to come to mom or dad or cry about it, they're going to learn over time how to internalize that so they don't burden the family. Whatever the compensation is, some kids may go to their room and study and read a lot of books and overachieve and finally see in that moment, wow, now my parents don't fight because they're celebrating me. Now my dad is finally smiling. He's not overwhelmed with work because he's proud of me. Now mom gives me more love and adoration. If that's a signal, not consciously in a child's head, but subconsciously they take in the environment. It happens flawlessly. If they see that and that's true in their home, they're going to do more of that. I guarantee a lot of these men that we look at as successful learned early on that the more that they achieved, whether through school or sports, they got more love in the house. That's where it started. Now, that's not to say that's part of their soul path, that space that they went into. Maybe sports was where they were supposed to be. Maybe business is where they're supposed to be. What I'm saying is that they lost very critical parts of being a human at a young age. And so these men, as we're talking about, grow up in these spaces quickly and with the signal that as a child, the more I do this, the more I get love. I can guarantee some men behind us in this photo right here have compensated in the exact way that I've said. And I can guarantee a lot of them have not shed a tear in many years. And I can guarantee a lot of them have such deeply repressed anger. And the point is not to not celebrate men who've done so much with the world and with business and made so much money. And we can celebrate that as men. We look at them. The point is for the men to come back to a more whole, integrated self so they can just be happy humans. Because there's a lot of successful people who are fucking depressed. I've seen it. My want for men is to come back to all of themselves. And maybe there's a lot of people behind us who are really good artists who are so afraid to show their art, their song, their poetry, their painting, their sketching, their sculpting, their acting. Maybe a lot of these people have gifts way beyond business. My want is for that to come out. so they can feel better as human beings in this world.
Was a question a couple of years ago that hit me so hard was, do I love me for who I am or for what I do? And I think that's exactly what the man you're describing learned when they were younger. They did something and then they received love. Then they were worthy. Then they learned that people love me for what I do, for the value I bring, not for who I am as a person, who is this playful child, self-expressive, mad and everything. But I'm curious of your story. How did you become from like you getting compliments from like how smart you were, but you're not feeling the same inside? Like how was your journey into this embodied masculinity, I would say?
Yeah, and I work on that all the time, man. The embodied masculine self. Just to say the statement, and then I can go back, is that for me, it's so important to follow through with the things that I preach. Otherwise, I have this OCD fear that when I say things, they just won't land unless it comes from my body. But my body has to be open and real and true to it. And so my work is so much in doing that. But years, man, it's been like, when I was a child, I was so joyous. All I did was art. I drew and I painted. And then I thought I was a Ninja Turtle, so I acted. And then I sang. And then I acted some more. It was just, it was a fountainhead of unimaginable art expression. And it wasn't actually repressed by my family. It was actually encouraged. They laughed when I did skits, you know? They clapped when I danced. They gave me their presence when I was performing. The problem was that I wasn't not getting love for being who I was and from a light part, expressive part. The problem is that my parents had their own issues with themselves. And they probably should have never been in a relationship or at least got married. It was very volatile. They were butting heads all the time. The problem is that I did not want to show myself over time more and more because I believed, as I got older, self-sacrificing would be the best thing for me to show up as a good son. How can I put on a skit and have all their attention when their attention is on themselves and they're fighting? How can I take all this time to make a picture when they just got into a fight and, you know, I'd show them the picture and they really wouldn't appreciate it because they're still in the midst of anger and fear and whatever they were going through. And so my compensation was that I just started abandoning myself. Why would I do all of the things that bring joy to my family if they're fighting? They don't have time for me. They don't have time for me to express myself. They definitely don't have time for my darker parts when I'm going through things as a kid or being bullied or things like that. I can't come to them for that because they have their own. My story was anything that I do is a burden to them. So where did that go? I stopped doing it. My darkness started being repressed. And with that repression, that anchorage of the darkness, the pain, like the sadness, the shame that naturally kids feel, the fear that kids feel, it pulled down my light too. And so all I can do was be to myself. So I was a lonely kid. I was lonely. I had friends, but I was lonely because I couldn't be myself. I was all of the notes on a piano. And then I just began to slowly converge into these small, right in the middle notes, not too dark, not too light. And for me, that's a story I lived with. Any light that I come with to the family, it's too much. Any darkness I come to the family, it's definitely too much. The compensation came in school. So I go, okay, first it was sports. I wasn't that good at sports. So my value you go to high school and everyone's playing sports and some of them are really good and they're popular. I was like, okay, now I have no self-confidence. I didn't want to do art or acting, which I probably should have done because that was my gift. And the time when I went to school, none of those kids were celebrated. They were actually like picked on. So I was so repressed because I wasn't doing anything to express the darkness or light. Then in college, I just was like, all right, let me take that energy and put it in books. So I wasn't a good student all of high school, beginning of college. Middle of college, I go, let me put in this energy. And then I just saw that I was really good at science. I didn't know I was good at science till I was like 20 years old. And through that, I went into medical. I went into dental school first, but then medical, because I knew that I was good at something. And guess what? When I came with all of those good grades finally, or like I was doing something that I can break the portal of arguing that my parents had, when I can come in and go, look, I did something, I started to become celebrated again. In my 20s, I finally found like a purpose. Like I wasn't good at sports. I couldn't do art. I couldn't do acting. Let me just do this science thing that I think I'm good at. And I started getting good at it. And I was studying and it started clicking. So finally in school, chemistry, I'm getting A's. Biology, I'm getting A's. Organic chemistry, physics, A's. And I'm finally getting the love that I always wanted from my mom and dad. And then that's when I just went down that road of like, okay, if I use my intellect, speak with intellect, articulate better, achieve in school, be really good in medical, then I'll finally get all the love. And I stayed with that for many years, bro. Many, many years. Many years, even my early Instagram, it was all super logical, super intellectual. The moment that everything broke was actually the first time I did psychedelics. I did a mushroom ceremony, and it showed me how inauthentic of a man I was being. And then it showed me all of the relationships that I was in and how they ended the same way. Because it was unprocessed pain. And this goes back to what I was saying with the men who were logically successful, but their relationships were shit. Same thing with me. All of my relationships, past 4 or 5 relationships, it's showing me, look how you broke up. Don't you see that it was you? It wasn't her. She loved you. It was you. Again, look here. Again, look here. Again, look here. And I said, oh my God, maybe I'm the fucking problem. That changed everything. That's when I said, I have to change as a human being. I had no idea. And that's when I started going to therapy. Started to bring awareness to all of these habits and patterns. That's why I say therapy works. It showed me that there's a giant tree. But it wasn't until I learned somatics and getting into the body and actually feeling, it was another 3 years of going through screaming, crying, what looks like exorcisms to the outside. A priest would say it's an exorcism, a doctor would say it's a seizure, but just crazy processing. And then finally that calmed down and it started to integrate more. It took about 5 years of work, but I had no one to guide me. I just did it intuitively. And I say all of that, thank you for asking the question of the story so people have context. I say all of that for people to understand that now I'm in a loving relationship. You know my partner. Doesn't mean my partner doesn't challenge me. Doesn't mean my partner doesn't trigger me. Doesn't mean I'm not intellectual. I show up with intellect, but I have heart behind that intellect. I know why I'm saying things because I feel it, and then I speak. My partner triggers me. Once a month, we're triggered and we're sitting down having a talk for 2 hours. But guess what? All of those fractures and repairs have made me a better man. Because in relationship to an emotional being who wants depth and love and vulnerability, I know that I have to show that to keep this relationship healthy, while being the man who can protect and provide and execute and plan. That to me is true masculine. It's 2 sides of the same coin. Many men only know one side and they have no idea that there's another side. And this is what I'm trying to bring people.
Mm-hmm. So many questions, but what I'm hearing is that when you went on your journey and then you went on this screaming and exorcist with like a priest would identify, then it seems to something because you talk about that, like for example, trauma stores in your cells and your biology in a sense. So when you target the body, it gets released and then you're more in tune with your truth and there's a match between what you say and what you feel in your body. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I'll explain it simply. Every single time that you abandon yourself, whether it is things you want to say, be, do, express fully, emotions especially. Every time you don't do it, it has to do something. It has to go somewhere. It stays repressed into the body. So learn it at a young age, man. Do you remember a time when you were a kid, little boy, and you wanted to cry, but you were maybe around your dad? I don't know your relationship with your dad, but you were around a man and you felt uncomfortable to cry. Do you remember that feeling? Or even as a man now, when you want to express, you're watching a movie maybe with someone. What do you feel?
I had this moment a couple of years ago, so I'll tell this story. I was having an existential crisis because I was only a football player. That was only the thing that mattered to me. Then when I lost my passion and purpose, I was just like, what is this life about? And I soon realized that if I could become a better football player, I could become better in education and as a partner and everything. In that journey, I was watching a movie and I got this, I want to cry. And my girlfriend was on my side. And I was just like, always like holding it in. And then I just had this realization like, why am I holding this in? And then I just allowed myself to cry.
And how did she react?
She was not judgmental.
What a beautiful way to hold. What a woman.
Yeah,
right?
What a woman, yeah.
Right? Because the feminine wants the masculine to express, but sometimes the feminine can't hold it because she hasn't held her own shit. And so when the masculine expresses, it's too much, she shuts down, she criticizes, she's judgmental. And guess what? As men, we ain't never going to do it again. We'll hold it right in. But I ask you, in the moment where you felt to cry, what did you feel in your body?
Like something was like stuck,
Where?
Stiff in my stomach and chest.
In your stomach and chest. Right. Okay. Every single time we've done that in our lives, that energy that's built up, synthesized and created, wanting to express, has to go away if we don't express it. And so you felt that tension in your chest and your belly because the fascia of your system knew what to do through your nervous system, right? So the brain has the limbic system. There's many different parts to the limbic system. We all know the amygdala, or most of us do. We're fear, that's our fear center, hypervigilance. But there's also a part called the insula. And the insula is a very important part in this process because the insula dictates our sensitivity to our mind and body, mind-body connection. It also plays a big role in that emotional repression. So the more that we don't feel safe to express an emotion, the limbic system, the insula, the whole amygdala is lit up. All of those nerves are informing the full body contract, not safe. And it happens fast because it happens through the fascia. And the fascia works really fast. It's electro and magnetic. It's not just electric like the nervous system. It's electro and magnetic. That means it can sense magnetic fields. It can sense people's vibe, their heart field, their torus field, their field. We all have a field around us. We can sense. Intuition comes from this, the way that our fascia senses magnetism around us. And so it works fast, quantum, snap of a finger. Before you even consciously know, your body's contracted. I ask everyone viewing and listening, like, do you ever walk past a smell and that smell triggers something unpleasant in your life? And the cologne might remind you of an ex. The perfume might remind you of an ex, right? We smell it and then we walk by and then maybe a minute later we realize, oh my God, like my throat is so tight, right? It's like, oh my God, it feels like I can't breathe. My chest is tight. And we take that as, oh, the cologne is just nauseating and it just reminded me of my ex. But what was happening? Our body was trying to express the emotional connection to the ex. That smell triggered something in our system, in our brain. And through the nervous system, the fascia started to open up so it can process any unprocessed emotions around the ex. But instead, we feel contraction, right? Our fascia works, it goes, oh, contraction, it's not safe to express. I don't say, this person doesn't express sadness. Why would this person express it right here in the middle of the street? We're walking past someone who wears the cologne or the perfume. And And so we contract. And then we, a minute later, go, oh my God, it's made me sick. My whole body's tight. We don't know that the body's tight because it's working for us. It's protecting us from those unwitnessable, unlovable emotions that we had since we were kids. And so the body has an innate intelligence to protect us always. It doesn't follow the linearity of time. There's no past, present, or future. In the body, it's now. So if little Christian wasn't allowed to express sadness or anger, the body still is in little Christian mode until we break that. The body has to know you're safe to express anger and sadness. And then it has to actually embody anger and sadness, like when I'm watching a movie, to cry in front of my partner, just like you did. It needs the new experience to solidify that into the limbic system and into the brain, into the body. It has to be a new experience. But first, we have to have somatic awareness to what the hell is going on. If I'm walking with you and I smell something in the street and it reminds me of an ex and I feel my body tighten up, I have the somatic awareness to go, hold on, bro. I got to get into my car real quick. There's something happening. Let me close my eyes. Let me feel, oh my God, there's tension in my chest and my throat. Let me drop down. Let me feel deeper into the tension of the chest and the throat. Let me actually meditate. Let me get into a space. Oh my God, I'm so sad still. Holy shit, I'm actually remembering. I felt so alone in this relationship. And then I cry. And then the body opens up. And you know what's crazy? If I ever smell that smell again, my body won't react.
Because you've processed it.
Because I've processed it. This is how intelligent the body is. And I want people to understand that there's so much here. There's codes. There's language to the body. And some of the people who ignore it the most are doctors. We have no idea how to decode the language of the body. This is what I'm trying to bring to people, is that you can heal yourself. To me, there's no disease that is unhealable. It's irreversible. Nothing, right? At the very least, we can bring the conditions for healing. That's it. But we have to understand the language of the body first, man. And so much of disease is driven by those psychosomatic repressions.
Interesting, that are stored in the body. Because called feelings, because we feel them in our body, and it's a way more ancient system than our mind when that developed. It seems to me that its first step is to be aware of the feeling and what maybe caused the feeling, and then sit with the feeling, and then allowing it to be, and then feeling the sadness or the anger or whatever, and then expressing that, and then realizing and reflecting like, oh, I'm probably angry because this reminds me of a past partner that cheated on me or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes it just not to get lost in the logical mind of the ego needing to know everything.
Interesting,
because the body doesn't care.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes people are triggered by this, but the body doesn't care about if you were molested or raped or robbed or beaten. It doesn't care about the story. It only cares if you're safe enough to express the emotions connected to those incidences. It only cares, are you expressing or repressing? Am I safe to express, yes or no? We as human beings connect the PTSD through the stories. Every story, everything, revisiting it, starting to create that. Some people step into even making that their identity, right? I was this. Now I am this person because of this. That's danger zone. First, let the body express, move through what it needs to move through, and then define yourself in relation to authenticity. You don't want to define yourself in relation to compensations because they're not real. They're compensations, right? If I'm walking and there's a rock on my foot and I start limping, you're like, oh, there goes Christian, the limping man. Well, what if I took the rock off my foot and I'm walking normal? You're like, oh, there goes Christian, the normal man, right? I'm authentically walking because I'm back in balance. And then you can see me for who I am. I'm not the limping man. I'm only limping because there's a rock in my shoe. But there's a rock in my shoe because I haven't brought awareness to what's there. It just stays there because I'm just like, oh, it's how I am. It's not true. And so we have to sort of fragment, break apart this belief system that we have to understand ourselves. It's not about understanding yourself. It's about feeling yourself. That's it. It's about feeling who you are and letting the body and the soul take over. That's it. The human experience filters through our nervous system, through our eyes, through our senses, and here we are. And I can touch this mic, and my name's Christian, and I'm a doctor, and I live in Venice, California. That's play.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is that inside of me are parts of me that, when fully expressed, are the most powerful version of me. Not powerful power over people, not powerful bringing money in, but I'm talking about inspiring, influential, helping people remember who they are by me just being me seamlessly in who I am. I think that's the thing that we're here to do as human beings, is to embody all of ourselves so we remind other people who they are with their own gifts that they've been gifted with in this world, through all the shit they've been through, to just remember through all the mud and the muck that inside there is a little gem of who you are, and you hold that tight and you bring it to the world, and that gem shines so motherfucking bright that it helps people remember who they are just by you shining light on that. That's crazy that we can do that. That's spirituality to me. There's nothing deeper than spirituality than that.
I got moved when I was listening to this, at least. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that comes back again to the authenticity and expression. And because we're meaning-making creatures, in a sense, we love to understand things, and we kind of have to understand certain type of things, and following the story and creating a story, whether we know it or not, because we're always creating a story. And whether that's like a redemption story or if that's like a victim story, who cares? But you were saying that what I was hearing for you is that if you're able to express it and feel it, that might be the best way in the final analysis to understand yourself, instead of creating the story like rationally, conceptually.
Yeah, I think there is an importance of understanding. There is an importance here. What I'm submitting is that we don't need to understand everything based on a story that we made up.
Yeah.
If my belief system is Christian as this person,
mm-hmm.
and I've had many belief systems about who I thought I was. If my belief system is Christian as this person, and that belief system was derived from all the compensations that I've created through life just to be loved by different people, and I'm struggling as this person that I created that's not real, and then I go to therapy and we're working with this person that isn't real, what are we doing? What are we doing? There is value, though, in understanding, and it's in the context of compassion. When we understand and break down this old sense of self and break it down to come back to more truth, we can understand that things happen to us in our life. Things happen. I'll share something with you. Most of my adult life, I struggled with a lot, right? So I'd never got to the root of something until recently, but it came with somatics, actually. So most of my life, I just had a dad who was emotionally not sensitive, vulnerable. He didn't have much emotional depth, and his compensation was anger instead of feeling sad. And he had a lot of shit generational. There was a lot of generational wounding, Latin men. And I had a mom who people pleased and who was very uncomfortable with any sexual content on TV, anything about sexuality, something really rooted in being a human. And they fought a lot. And I never felt safe. And I felt definitely a people pleaser because I couldn't express my own anger. And I was angry that I couldn't even share myself. And so by virtue of that, there's a lot of compensations, a lot of things happen in my life. There was some bullying in school. And when my mom passed away in 2011, she died of cancer. That completely changed the trajectory of the person that I was creating. I always believed myself to be a really sweet guy. Even amongst turmoil, I was always like a very loving person. And part of it, I was like, that's in my DNA. But I also think that there was a people-pleasing mechanism where I was anxious if I was unliked or unloved, right? And so all of that converged into this moment when my mom passed away. And I said, forget it. I'm just abandoning everything. And I went into addiction. I was addicted to alcohol. I was addicted to sex. I was doing drugs. Drugs wasn't as bad as the alcohol and sex. And that lasted for years, man. I completely went into addiction. And then it became dating addiction. And then it became back to sex addiction and porn addiction and then dating addiction. It was like 10, 15 years, nonstop back and forth of me just cold turkey, pushing, using my logic to go, I'm letting go of this. I'm going to get over it. I have enough willpower. That wasn't it, man. That wasn't it. It was that there was so much pain inside of me from the way that I grew up, from my mom's death. And there was something else hidden that I didn't uncover yet. But until I cried and I was fucking angry, and then I cried again until I felt the itch of needing to be with a woman, go to just meet a woman somewhere and have sex with her. And I stayed home instead. And I'm literally detoxing like an alcoholic. My heart's beating. I'm sweating. I'm on the floor, folded up, nauseous, like about to throw up because I need to get out this anxious energy through sex. And because I chose not to do that, I needed to sit with that anxiety. It was the worst. It was 4 days of the worst anxiety I've ever felt, 24 hours a day. I couldn't work. I was on my living room floor, folded up, literally detoxing from pain, knowing that my body's doing something. I had the awareness and crying and fear and anger and then crying again and shame and sweating and then just laying on the floor because I was so exhausted. That was what broke the addiction. That's what broke the addiction. But there was something else that was there, very much so alive. And it showed up in intimacy. I hated being touched. I don't like when friends touch me. I didn't like when my partners would touch me. Definitely with sex, I would close up, especially if I love someone. And this is why I'm sharing this, is because the body holds so much. And I was in shock because I thought I figured out the body. I was like, I know somatics. I know the language of the body. I teach people. It's so easy. And then earlier this year, when I was on the beach, I was meditating on the beach, and I had this vision, and, I heard a voice, and it said, do you want to know why you are the way you are in relationships? Why you close up in sex? I literally heard a voice, and I was like, holy shit, is someone talking to me? I was like, yeah. And then it was a stream of conversation. And it was this moment where it's like, it told me to go home. I went home, told me to go upstairs and meditate, and told me to go into my heart. And it says, you need to see what's in there. And I said, I thought I've seen everything. It said, close your eyes and you need to see what's in there. So I closed my eyes and I was in my heart. And then I heard the words go deeper. So I meditated deeper. And then I heard deeper again. And I saw this moment that I completely forgot about, bro. Completely. That I had an aunt who molested me, sexually molested me. And I came out of the meditation and I couldn't fucking believe that that was true. And I remembered 5 years ago, I came out of a meditation asking the same question, but I had it was so airy, no evidence that I couldn't go with it. And so it was such an important moment because I still couldn't feel that it was real. I was like, no, it's just what is that? I can't even justify it because I can't remember anything. In those 2 weeks, every meditation, more and more began to unfold. And the things that I was trying to grasp, is it real or not, became real. Moments that I remember, I said, holy shit, I remember this moment. And then again, by remembering that, the chain link to the other moment and the chain link, and then it revealed itself, man. I say all of this to say, me, who I thought I did all the somatic work, and I thought I went to the depths of hell in my body and saw all of the quote unquote demons, the darkest parts of me. And there was a deep, dark well that was so protected that my brain said, you cannot witness this or you're going to die. Literally, that was a signal. Because if you see what happened to you as a kid, you are going to die. But it explained everything. Every time that before sex, I get touched and I close up or dissociate, I leave my body and become numb. I thought something was wrong with me. And this is to all the people listening, is like, this may happen to you or could happen any other way. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was broken. I thought I went through every single route you could possibly think of why this is happening. When in reality, the body was just protecting so deeply. And I share this story because when I understood what happened, I understood, and I can actually say I was molested at 6 years old by an aunt. When I understood that, it allowed compassion in. Exactly what I started this part with. It allowed compassion to come. It wasn't about understanding why she did it. Did I deserve it? I didn't even need to remember any more details. It just brought compassion that every single time I've closed up before sex with a woman who I loved, not a random woman, but a woman who I loved, that nothing was wrong with me. That something happened to me when I was young and my body is still protecting me like I'm 6 years old. What a gift. What a gift to remember that something so deep happened that I have the capacity and the space with a loved one now who we can work through that. We can connect deeper. We can go softer. We can go slower. We can ask questions. We can be more sensitive to everything. That nothing's wrong with Christian. God, man, 15 years of my life, I thought something was wrong with me. 15 years of my life, you know? And the truth is that the body was just protecting me. And now I have compassion. And every day I thank my body for protecting me every time someone touched me during sex. Every time someone tried to give me love during sex and I shut down, it wasn't my fault, man. It wasn't my fault. That's incredible. Now, how many men behind us on here have a similar story and have no fucking idea? Because 1 in 6 men are reported molestation. 1 in 4 women. But I guarantee you there's more men. And I guarantee you 2 or 3 of these men behind us on this wall have been molested by someone. And everything that they've compensated and created in this world could be a direct compensation to feeling unworthy and having their boundaries overstepped in a molestation. And they've created billion-dollar businesses because of it. The gift is in seeing what's there, bringing compassion so it can integrate into the body and bring back a better balance in the human being.
Yeah, it seems to me you have to be, if you just take on the moment on the beach, because you had the moment 5 years before that something was calling to you. And then it called you again. And you actually had the courage of, I imagine you shut it down probably 5 years ago, I don't know. But then you explored it again, went to your room, meditated.
Yeah.
And then you opened, and then you need an enormous amount of courage to face that because your body is probably doing everything in its power to not allow you to look at that memory.
Exactly.
So that needs courage. And then you experience probably all kinds of emotions. But then you realize with the self-compassion, like more love towards yourself instead of like hate in terms of something is wrong with me.
Exactly.
And that gives you the power to express yourself fully in sex with your partner and all of that. So that's the gold mine of being able to look at yourself from a loving perspective.
Yeah.
Because you had the courage to go through and accept your darker sides in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If we don't accept our full range of who we are, there will be zero compassion, man. And it's just still wild to me because it's been months, but all of the work that I've done in the somatic, and I thought I uncovered every rock, man. But how many people have no idea about the somatic work, have uncovered 0 rocks, and don't even know that they are the way they are because of things that may have happened in their past? You know, for me, it was dramatic, like a molestation. But what if it was just a moment where dad, who is your God as a kid, says something to you that sticks so deep into your body that it becomes an operating system for you? We get older, we forget that moment. So I want everyone viewing and listening to just like bring in compassion and know that the behaviors that are self-sabotaging, the negative quote unquote emotions, the physical conditions, the sicknesses you're living with, the patterns of divorce or the patterns of breaking up, it's not you. It is a distorted expression of some pain deep down inside of you that most likely that foundation wasn't laid by you. You're just responding as a child in response to something that you believe to be true. And in the moment, maybe it was true, but it's still a compensation. And I promise you that it's not true anymore because you're living in a home and for all intents and purposes, you're safe. You have a job, maybe you don't. You have patterns, maybe they're good for you, maybe they're self-destructive. But know that every single thing that is not serving you is fixable, quote unquote. It's healable. And the body holds that key. The body holds the key. You have to take time to drop into the body. You have to take time to visit your body. The body is like a neglected dog. You wouldn't expect a neglected dog, abused, in the street to come right to you and start licking your hands and playing and jumping on you, right? You'd have to rehabilitate that. What do you think the connection is with your body? It's not going to trust you. You've left it. You've abandoned it many years ago. Many years ago. Most of us around the age of 7, we've abandoned our bodies. There's some people, adults, who have connections with their body, mostly when their work involves their body, like maybe dancing or meditation teachers or breathwork teachers, right? Who are actually in the body, artists. But most of us, we've abandoned our body, man. Mm-hmm. And so it takes consistency and curiosity. When you show up with both of those things, the body sees that you're knocking on its door. It ain't going to open the door. It's not going to do it the first day. Probably won't do it till the 40th day. But if you do it every single day and begin to notice what your body just feels like how many people viewing, listening can feel their right toe? Like literally feel their right toe, big toe, right? Big toe, right? I can feel right now it's starting to throb by bringing attention to my right big toe, right? It's buzzing at the tip and it's buzzing on the underside, right? It's energy. It's my awareness. Awareness is energy. That you got to do your whole body. You have to feel, the first 10 days, just say, okay, I'm going to feel awareness, my focus go into different parts of my body. And then you're going to notice that there's a part of your body that calls your attention more than other parts of your body. If it's pain, then you definitely know it's calling your attention. You feel pain. But a lot of us don't necessarily feel pain. A lot of us will feel tension. Maybe some of us will not feel tension. Maybe it'll be a little more subtle, like tingling. Maybe a little bit more subtle, maybe just like a little pins and needles. Just a little bit of communication. Go there and focus your awareness. And then it's a matter of how long can you stay there? Can I go to my left knee that's buzzing and actually stay there and practice interoception, the connection between my insula and that part of my body? Can I stay there? And with practice, can I stay after 20 days? Maybe on the first day, I stayed there for 10 seconds. On the 20th day, I stayed there for 30 seconds. Whoa. What happens when you stay in a part of the body longer? It reveals more. This is the language of the body. The more attention you give the body, the more it reveals. So if my knee is buzzing and I'm there for 30 seconds, and maybe it only takes 35 seconds before it starts revealing, on the 45th day, that 35th second shows me something. And I go, whoa, what the hell? It's not buzzing anymore. It's pain. Why is there pain? Okay, I'm dropping in. Okay, high knee. I'm connecting to your knee. What do you need to show me? Do you want to show me something? And maybe in my vision, I see my knee showing me the moment when I was playing high school football and someone hit me in the leg and did it on purpose because they hated me. And when they hated me, they said, you're a piece of shit and you're good for nothing. And maybe those words after they hit me on the knee, maybe the knee healed, but those words never healed because maybe that's a belief system that is literally stuck in my goddamn knee. And until I witness, whether it's that anger for someone hitting me in football, it's not true, but I'm just saying, someone hitting me in football or saying those words, the pain of those words, because I believe them to be true, until I feel that anger come up from my knee, move up my thigh, move up my belly, up my throat, and out as sound, intensity, then it's going to be stuck there. Or maybe there's just sadness because I believe those words that he said. And maybe it comes up and it's tightening and my chest is tightening and my throat is tightening. Can I allow the sadness to be witnessed? Can I allow the part of me that is just sad to be here? Yes. And I start crying, right? That's how we begin to process years of trauma. Years. I've had belly, right side, left side. I've had chest. I've had lower back. I've had a lot of left leg stuff. I've had arm, but I've processed all that because you want to know why. I come back and visit and it's open. It's free. It's good. Nothing there. Most of my body, nothing there. But there was that thing that I mentioned, the molestation. That was deep in my lower left hip, right here. And I knew it. I knew there was something there. I just never knew what it was. So I would do myofascial release balls trying to open it up, but there was something deep inside of there. And now I know it's there. And now I can process it. If there's pain involved, I can process it because I know how. This is what I'm telling people. Connect to your body. Stay there. Build curiosity. Build your resiliency to stay in one part of the body. Focus, meditate, become strong. Build that connection between your brain and your body. And I promise you, at some point, your body will begin to process on its own. The body's smarter than me. The body's smarter than any therapist. Body's definitely smarter than you. Let the body take over so it can do what it's been trying to do since you were 7 years old.
It makes me think that a lot of people who've done a lot of work in themselves have a huge ocean to tap into.
Big time.
Because we have people who are not doing anything in their lives and just keep on going. We have people who are working actively towards understanding the story and all of that. But then we have even lesser people who are tapping into, because I was thinking, I've done a lot of work by myself and gotten more into my body for the past 2-3 years, I would say. This has been really beneficial for my life. But I'm listening to you and I'm like, damn, I thought I came a long way. And I started thinking about my trauma in my head. And I was just like, oh, I have some work to do.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, I feel that, man. Like, before I got into the body, I've read every book.
Yeah.
On self-help, every therapeutic modality. Even I've done every psychedelic. And the psychedelics are awesome. They show you too. You don't necessarily if you don't integrate it and embody it, it's just literally just spiritual masturbation, right? There's no point unless you can embody it. But how do you embody it? Because I know a lot of people that have gone and done ayahuasca that are still shitty people when they come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's revealed what's there, but they don't know how to integrate it. You can't integrate if your body's all gunked up with years of shit. You can't, because there's no spaciousness. There's no vessel. That vessel is not there. Can't let in light. Can't let in the movement of energy. So you can't do ayahuasca or psychedelics, come back home and go, okay, here's a whiteboard. Here are the 5 things that I'm going to do. And I'm just going to keep doing it, because the mind will go back into its comfort zone. And the comfort zone is what you've created. The comfort zone is the expression, the defense mechanism expression of what got you the most amount of love. That is a giant mountain. You trying to integrate on a whiteboard after ayahuasca is a grain of sand, right? You're going to go at some point directly right back to what you know is the safest thing. And until you embody and move all of that shit, all that gunk, you won't have a new sense of self. It's a new felt sense of self. The old felt sense of self is just going to be a downstream expression of your egoic creation. That's the problem. We can't integrate, so we never change. We try to change, and we can do these micro changes for sure. Reading all the books and, building the habits, awesome. But the deep shit, oh man, that's in the body, man. That's in the body. There's stuff that my body has showed me over the past years that I didn't even know was traumatizing to me. I thought it was just something I said to someone, or something said to me. They said to me, and then I'm having these memories when I'm deep in the body, and I was like, oh my God, are you sure? And then they're showing me a movie. It's like, remember these details? Remember what you said to this person? Remember how out of integrity it was of you as a human being and how you hurt this person? You saw it in their eyes, but you ignored it. Do you remember how that stuck with you? That look that person had when you put them down? Do you remember how that person looked? That's the reason you X, Y, and Z now. Oh my God. A moment of me saying something in high school as an immature kid, sticking with me and now informing how I relate to myself and others, that's crazy. But yes, It can just be something you said to someone that is insignificant, but your body remembers, your soul remembers, your nervous system remembers. That's the work. Now, you're not going in there excavating, looking for moments. You're just working with the body with curiosity and connection and letting the body show you what it needs to. The body will remember the most important things, and it'll do it in a hierarchy. It'll do it efficiently, and it'll do it in a very strategic, methodical way. And that methodical way is going to be what's best for you with what you're asking for, but really what your capacity is. If you have the nervous system that can express tons of anger, then you're going to be expressing all of that. But there's some people who are exhausted from work and exhausted from life and eating like shit and not working out, and their nervous system is burnt out. Then you go inside the body, what's it going to show you? It's going to go a little bit at a time, microdose, microdose, microdose. Just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. Also, what you said earlier, that it's not people's fault what we see maybe on the outside of people. We talked about being compassionate towards ourselves, but I feel like what changed in the past recent year for me is that being compassionate to other people when I see them, how they react to things, how they look, whatever, that it's not about them as a human being. Something happened, and something has happened that led them to react in a specific way that makes me really compassionate about and less judgmental about people that behave in a manner that doesn't fit my whatever, or whatever. It makes me way more compassionate and understanding of it's not their fault.
Of course.
Because old me was just it's your responsibility. Yeah. If you're out of shape, eat more healthy, work out. And exactly. then I think about it, I'm like, that's not true.
That's an evolution of you, man, and your consciousness.
100%.
You know?
I'm curious about, because we're talking about authenticity and self-expression and masculinity, most men will be terrified of doing this kind of work, of releasing emotions. Not only because they're terrified of facing their darker and lighter sides, especially darker probably, but also because of people around them, especially, I would say, women, to be vulnerable with women. What would be if there was a man listening to this, it is it makes sense, but I'm never doing this. I'm too terrified and I don't want to be that vulnerable. Mm-hmm. What would you be your, not selling pitch, but what would you say to that man?
If you love your kids or your wife, then it's our responsibility as men to do this. It's not a choice. Mm-hmm. We always have a choice, right? But it's not, if it's in front of us and we have children and we have a partner, it is our responsibility to step into that. If we want to be true, healthy, masculine men, we have to face the quote unquote demons that we ran away from. And most likely was perpetuated from our dad, from his dad, from his dad, from his dad. Yeah, you're right. It's terrifying because we have to break the lineage. And if we don't, and we have a son, guess who it gets passed down to? We pass it directly down to our son. And if we don't do that internal somatic work to witness those darker parts of us, it is inevitable. Through your subconscious and your compensations, you will quote unquote become your father. Maybe not fully, but there's going to be parts of you that are there because you can't do it from a logical perspective. Kids are not looking for logic. They're looking for a felt expression of their dad. They're looking to feel their dad. The son will feel their dad, especially in the younger age. They'll feel their dad. And if their dad doesn't show up with true, healthy, masculine balance of strength, protection, execution, structure, vulnerability, words of affirmation, love, sensitivity, their son is only going to learn half of what it means to be a man. And that's the way the world is right now. That men only learn half of what it is to be a man. A lot of men are half men. God forbid that man has a daughter. I've worked with close to 1,000 women in this work. The most common expression in women is resentment towards men. But when you go deeper, it's resentment towards their dad because their dad was never there emotionally. The daughter will always seek connection to the father through emotional bonding. She wants the dad to connect with her. She wants to come home and the dad goes, honey, come here, sit down. What's happening? Tell me. I just broke my boyfriend. He just broke up with me. Come here. Hold her. Let her cry on your chest. You hold that sadness as a man, and she knows you are a rock for her. She knows she can scream into your chest. She knows she can wail into your chest. She knows she can cry until the point where she wants to throw up because you are here for her. How many men can do that? How many men have the emotional capacity to even do that? Because if they don't, I guarantee that that daughter will grow up with a seed of resentment towards the father, because it's something that the daughter always wants from the father. The son always wants the balanced masculine from the father, but he'll always look up to the father however they express. Even if they're violent, they'll always still look up to their father as their hero until they get older and they resent him. But it'll still, even when they're resenting their dad, they still want connection with him. And the wife or the girlfriend or whatever partner you have, my God, not only is it important to build that relationship with them before kids, but when you have kids, your kids are going to look at the way you navigate disagreements, conflict, times that are super high, times that are super low. They're going to look at the way you navigate your relationship as parents to them, how you open the space for them to be authentic, how you accept them, how you take accountability as parents with the children and say, you know what, son, that's my fault. I should have been listening to you. I shouldn't have been on my phone. Come here. Tell me everything right now. I want to hear you. How many parents are able to even do that? If we don't have the emotional capacity as men, we're never going to be able to grow as a couple with our partner. Women seek men in leadership. A woman wants to see that a man is being congruent with what he's saying and what he's doing. But also a woman wants to feel held and connected. The biggest gift we as men can give women is to be a rock and allow that woman the space to express all of her. You say, partner, I love you. If you're fucking angry, you can be angry. Now, here's my boundary. Don't push it on me because that's not my anger. But if you scream into that couch or you go upstairs and scream, nothing will be intense because I got it. Partner, I love you. If you had a hard day at work and you want to cry on my chest, just like our daughter did earlier today, I'm a rock. I can hold it. And I'm not going to spiritually bypass or just dissociate. I'm here with you. I'm not trying to give you solutions. I'm here validating that you are having a hard time. I'm with you as a man. That is our responsibility, bro. I can't imagine ever getting into a relationship being less than that. I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine being less than that as a parent. And Lord knows my dad is going to come back on some way with me as it through me and as a parent. Mm-hmm. But what do I have is the consciousness to go back in my body and go, all right, I said something like I did, and it was in reflection of a part of my dad that is still inside of me. There's a generational masculine wound. Maybe I missed it before I had kids. It's okay. Where is it? What is it? Here it is. Let me connect to it. Ooh, there's a lot of anger. Ooh, there's a lot of rage. The men in my lineage have this rage and it's right on the right hip. Let me connect, let me breathe, let me sound, let me move through it. And now when that trigger comes up, it's less. And then I show up as a better father. That's the work, bro. Mm-hmm. You have to be active in your masculine. It's not just I've made $1 billion and now people look up to me. I've built companies and people look up to me. That is like downstream by miles. We're talking about fountainhead upstream, being a human being, but also being a healthy man. And that's our responsibility. If people are viewing and listening to this, now you got the information. What are you doing with it? Mm-hmm. For me, it's your responsibility to do something with it. It's not our fault that we got to where we are. That's not our fault. But now it's our responsibility to make a change.
Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful. And I think men who don't, because I think for example, for men to be more vulnerable, which I would define as being vulnerable at doing this work, because it's vulnerable, connecting with your body and, expressing yourself and then holding the emotions of your kid or your partner or whatever. some men will say like, because one message is just completely be vulnerable at all times and don't have the protective, maybe providing whatever, the other masculine structure, go-getter, whatever, the beast. And so like how, because men are so afraid of being vulnerable, but I think that when you hold both parts at the same time, when you're able to do that, at the same time, I will be able to, like, let's say you would ask me some emotional questions and I will allow myself to get emotional and cry. But I think you know that at the same time, I could go out there and kick somebody's ass in a sense. That masculine monster. For sure. But I think if people feel that you can have that both as a man, I think that's the power.
Of course.
And I think because sometimes it's just be all vulnerable, be all, like it's integration of the both. And I think that's what men think are not afraid of being vulnerable, because they think that means just to be vulnerable at all times, which is seasons for that, I'm sure, yeah. But like the integration is the most important part. And then I think it's, do you understand where I'm going?
Yeah, 100%. Every woman wants an integrated man.
Yeah.
There's just women who have no idea how to define that. They don't know what that means. But deep down inside, we are biologically and even spiritually attuned to a balanced, healthy expression. Women want that in a man. But guess what? You're going to attract a partner who is in the resonance of your disproportionate, imbalanced expression. So if I'm a man who doesn't have that beast, who doesn't have that oomph, that drive, because that drive to me at a certain compensation is just like my dad, and that drive is bad because it hurts people, I shut it off. And I'm just a super sensitive guy. I'm just playing guitar on the beach all day. And I'm really flowy, super feminine. I'm in my feminine. I just receive and I create all day and I don't care about anything other than just that. I will attract a woman who's masculine. They have to balance. They have to be able to be complementary. Doesn't mean that I'm balanced and the woman who I brought in is balanced, but you're going to create the opposite polarity in a relationship. It's inevitable, right? And even if on the surface, the woman seems very flowy and feminine and spiritual, and behind closed doors, the compensation for her is always in the other side of the disproportionate balance. She'll be more masculine. That was my experience. I had a lot of feminine energy because I was scared of my masculine. I thought my masculine was too intense. I thought it was too strong. And actually, I threw it away because when I was in my masculine logic and structures and all that, I was so unhappy. So my pendulum went completely the other way. And then it found its balance in integration. If you think about the medical symbol, it has the two snakes around the staff. That's actually representative of masculine and feminine energy. It goes up the spine, right? We have channels on both sides of the spine. If you ever do Kundalini or breath work or any meditation and you actually feel your spine aliving, like literally buzzing, movement of energy, goes all the way up to the brain, right here to your third eye. You feel that, man. We have masculine and feminine energy. Everyone. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care if it's a woman listening, man listening. We all have masculine and feminine energy. The body and the spirit is always trying to balance it. So you will get the people, places, things, situations, and circumstances to challenge that to become real so you can find your balance. The balance is in integration. And maybe your balance is a little more masculine. Maybe you have more beast in you than me. Maybe I have a little more feminine, but at least I found my balance. You found your balance. And through that, we've attracted partners to find their balance. That's the important part of a relationship, man. The relationship is the best arena to heal the deepest wounds. Because no one's going to trigger you more than the person you come home to. No one. No one is going to trigger you like that. It's like we're backstage reading books and, like watching YouTube videos. Until you get in the arena, that's the real work. You're on stage when you're with that. When you're with a partner, you are on stage. And so the beauty of masculine and feminine is that your partner will show you the parts of you that are undeveloped or repressed. I had a partner in 2023 who was, and this is what I went by. I went with, is she beautiful and is she cool to hang out with? Those were my only parameters. And she was beautiful and cool to hang out with. Very quickly, I found out how quote unquote incompatible we were. But all of my people pleasing expressions came to surface. So I abandoned myself to make her happy. And she had this hyper masculine, fiery energy. And then I met her mom and I understood. Her mom wore the pants in the relationship. Her mom was verbally abusive to the dad right in front of me. And those elements started to come out in the relationship. She started off really penetrated with her energy, really wanting to take the lead on everything. Every time I tried to do things in my masculine, like make an appointment, plan something, she didn't trust that I would do it and she would just do it herself. Do you know what that does to a man's masculine? When we are not believe that we can execute. And I didn't have a good sense of masculine because I didn't have a masculine role model. So I was trying to define it myself in the relationship. But do you see what I'm trying to say? I was imbalanced in my masculine, so I attracted a partner who was overcompensating in her masculine.
Mm.
When we broke up, I took 1 calendar year, 1 year. I said, no women, celibacy, and I'm going to define what a healthy masculine is. And I started off, I wrote it on a whiteboard, what I thought the qualities were. I said it in a mantra every morning in the shower. I did somatic work to start moving away the old beliefs, the fear, the shame, the little bit of anger. And then when life gave me the opportunities, this is the most important part here. We have to embody, we have to do the things that actually tell our nervous system that we are creating a new sense of self. So when life gave me the opportunities to be in a masculine context, for example, leading, I'll never forget, we were all walking to a restaurant. And usually I walk in the back and I'm just chilling and talking and I don't talk to the hostess. I just sit, I just follow the crowd. And I go, no, I've been saying that I'm a leader and now I'm going to go in front of this whole crowd and I'm going to be the first person to be the first point of contact at this restaurant. And I'm going to be more assertive. I'm going to talk to the waiter. I'm going to ask for the bill. Something I did, I was so passive. That's the most important part. Because if you just do it theoretically or even somatically, you're like, oh, I'm more masculine. Mm-hmm. Motherfucker, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do the work to start solidifying it in the brain. Guess what? 1 calendar year and 1 month later, I met Claire, my partner. Because I attracted someone who was in a healthy, regulated state. She's the most healthy, regulated person I've ever met. She works on herself. She has her things. But she is so balanced in her masculine and feminine energy. And what a gift that I know that she's a reflection of where I'm at. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the gift of masculine and feminine polarity. So for the men listening, if you're completely in your masculine, there's not a problem with bringing in more feminine. On the contrary, it could probably heal a lot of your physical health issues you're dealing with, definitely mental, certainly relational. But more important than that is, man, we forgot how to feel our heart. Mm-hmm. We don't know what our heart feels like. We don't know. We've moved all of our awareness away from the heart and in the head, and living in the head has created billion-dollar businesses and fame and success. We forgot what it feels like to feel our heart. The number one thing a man has to do is feel his heart. He has to build a somatic interoceptive connection with his heart. And by doing that, I guarantee in 40 to 50 days, that man will start crying. And after that, he'll get really fucking angry. And then after that anger, there'll be grief. And that grief has been there since he was a kid. When that grief moves, you have a new spaciousness for him to be a brand new man. He's going to feel different. The things that are triggering him are different. And guess what? He's still going to be able to turn on that masculine energy that accomplishes at work. But guess what? Even at work, people are going to feel him different. He can put on the hat. He can be on the calls. He can type in the stuff. He can be executing and closing deals. But he's still going to be felt different by the people he works with. People are going to like him more because he has more heart. And it's not even a thing you say. It's a felt experience. You can feel people with heart, bro. You can feel a man with a closed heart. I feel it snap of a finger. Mm-hmm. You have a heart, bro. You're connected with your heart more than you think. Like, I can feel that. This is the gift of an integrated man. That's the new masculinity. Last thing I'll say is, I saw someone writing a big thing. He did a whole video and he's like, I think that we've lost our masculine figures. And I'm so happy that someone like Andrew Huberman is a masculine figure for us. And I see he's on this wall. And for many things, he represents the logical embodiment of the celebratory masculine, like logic and clear, initiating success through teaching in his field, mastery in his field. But he's missing the other half, man. And so I said it to this guy. I was like, hey, with all due respect, I want to let you know, this is what an integrated man is. So we don't need to look for masculine men anymore. We need to look for integrated men. Integrated men is the goal. Integrated men is the goal. Ask yourself when you look at someone, is that an integrated man? I hope every young boy who gets their hands on this podcast can ask themselves, is that man balanced in his masculine and feminine? Did he find his elite optimal volume of expression? Or is he just really good at compensating? And did he become a master of compensating? Because one is fluff and one is real. I want people to recognize what a real man looks like.
And you can feel that by watching.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, man. Because the more attuned you are to your heart, the more that you can sense other men in their heart. The more you as a man can actually feel that I have a heart, and the more that you've moved through the pain in your heart that every man has, the more that you can see what's fake and what's real. And if you do it, if you're in person, you can feel that in a second. In a second. Bro, I am friends with 0 men in my life who are disconnected from their heart. I can't be around it.
Yeah.
I can't be around it, not because it's unbearable to be around those people. I can't be around it because the things that they say, they may be valuable in business and driven by compensation, but the things that they truly say, especially when we're not in a work context, but together in quality time, I have nothing to share if it's not from depth.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about anything that it's not from a man's heart. When we're at least hanging out, I want to sit in lunch and actually feel a man's heart. I want connection. Can't connect with a man who's driven by compensation. It's impossible. And I speak for their wives too, right? Can't. Can fake connect, but it's not real.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to authenticity and trust, if you feel if somebody is saying something, but it's not coming from the heart, I guess people can be in their mind, and that I'm speaking about myself, like I'm highly fixed in my mind, but I've been trying for the past recent years to get more into my heart. Of course, people sometimes talk from their mind, but I think you can feel when there's an authenticity between the words that are being expressed 100%. And the energy I'm receiving. And 100%. You can snap that after takes me 10 seconds, just the feeling. And I kind of know.
The more you're in your heart, the faster you can feel that.
Yeah.
And you know who feels it better than anyone? Fucking women.
Yes.
That's how they know when you're lying.
Yes.
They know when you're lying. Women know, and even if they deny it because they think they love you so much, they know when you're lying because you're not speaking from your heart. You're speaking from logic. And logic will never be rooted in the true, authentic expression. You can't, because it's rooted in compensation, right? Bro, do you know how many, I told you, I was a sex addict, right? Do you know how much shit I've said from my head? And I believed all of the shit that I said from my head, and I was convincing that I convinced myself that I would like this person. But in reality, it was just my ego needing to sleep with a woman to feel better about itself because I had so much anxiety, and it was the only thing that relieved my anxiety. But if I actually spoke from the heart and I say, oh my God, I'm here with you, and I'm just realizing that I have so much fucking anxiety, and I feel sad, and it's not about us being together physically. I just want to be with someone who can see me for the pain that I'm in. All I wanted was for a woman to hold space for me to cry. That's all I wanted. I've convinced myself in my ego that I just wanted sex. That wasn't true. I wanted the feminine nurturing of the spaciousness to hold for me to go through a process. And that never happened because that wasn't the route. I needed to hold myself. I was looking outside of me. And so women feel that fast. My girlfriend, You better believe I got to check in. If she wants a response, I need to drop to my heart and then say it, because she'll look at me and she'll stare at me and she'll know that I said it from my head. So ladies out there, shout out. But this is the same thing. Women tend to be more in their heart.
Yeah.
So they can feel men in their heart.
Mm-hmm.
That they can read us better. Men, we don't really know that because we're in our heads. So we don't know if someone's telling us the truth or their truth.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you're in your heart, the more that you can see a gap begin to form, and you can see what is a compensated man, fluff, and what is a true, grounded, authentic, integrated man.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's the difference between like a mature woman and a younger and older woman in terms of like, because it's competence generally, man, is attractive, but competence can become from the heart, then from passion and purpose, and it can come from narcissistic tendencies, whatever. And I think it's harder do you think a woman at all ages can spot the difference between that or feel the difference between that?
No, that's a great question. Because there are young women out there, especially I see in the younger generations, where, I mean, it's a function of youth, right? They value things that don't necessarily matter because it hasn't come to the surface where the depth of a real relationship may not be in the forefront for them. Like real life hasn't materialized yet. And by real life, I mean like purposeful work, having kids, connected with a partner, doing things for the community, like real, like things that matter in life. When we're young, it's like the masks that we wear.
Mm.
So it tends to be, although maybe the generation, I see like a lot of chaos, but like I see a lot of young women totally devaluing their own sacred expression of sex, right? Because a woman can be very dangerous in a compensation too. They can learn very young that I can control and get what I want through sex. I can get attention, but I can also control men. You know, just like think of OnlyFans or something like that, right? There's lots of women, but there's 10 times the amount of men, right? It's the control. So they have their own compensations, but this is more a man-centric podcast for this. But I can talk about women because I work more with women.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a woman matures, she doesn't gain the ability to sense what's real in a man. I think she's always had it. I think it just becomes a little bit louder over the years.
Mm.
But also if a woman doesn't go through her process, a lot of women are fucking angry. The anger is a huge thing for women. Anger and repressed sexuality is a huge thing for women. And shame. Until they see those things, it's going to be hard for them to fully feel what is real in a man. So a lot of women get convinced and manipulated by men who are not in their heart. And I think that this is way more common. I think it's actually the majority of relationships are men living in their head and women disconnected from their womb space. Their womb space is kind of their wisdom, right? The uterus, nothing compares to. It's actually more powerful than anything. I've worked with so many women. When you see what's in that womb space, the uterus, between the hips, holy shit. Women have healed from physical, I've seen medical miracles from that, okay? So women are usually disconnected from their power and men are disconnected from their heart, their softness. And I think that if you extract that and pluck it in as a template, most people in relationship in the world follow that template. What I want is a woman connected to the depth of her power and men connected to their heart. By that virtue of those two changes, they bring into this world children. They give the kids a fighting chance to be more integrated, and they're breaking generational wounding. But yeah, I think women are still really freaking good. They're born with that ability. They know when dad's not being truthful. Mm. They know when dad's giving advice and it's not from the heart. Even if they don't know it, they know it, they feel it. Mm-hmm. It's in their body. Just like we have gifts as men, women have such a potent gift for that.
They say that my mom because I'm quite close to my mom and dad. My mom most often knows that anything is wrong with me or anything is happening in my life long before I express it.
Mom
and when I
knows,
express
though.
it, my mom says like, yeah, I've been feeling that for a while.
Mom knows.
Like, yeah, they always know. And I was reading from a book that when mothers are breastfeeding their children and they sense that they lack calcium, they'll actually take something off their own skeleton to put more calcium in the milk for the baby. So that's the power.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah, incredible creatures.
The mother, oh man, like that's a whole podcast, the mother and the child bond.
Yeah.
And the wisdom of the body.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, like, look, man, I lost my mom in 2011 and I'm a different person because of it.
Mm.
The bond between a son, especially, and her mother is so incredible. Every bond matters, right? Daughter and mother, son and dad. The son and the mother really informs the way that men look for women in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of me still looks for the warmth and the nurturing. And I have to be very careful to make sure that I'm not looking for someone to parentify me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to hold myself and be like, oh, wait, I'm wanting a little bit more from my partner. That's not her job.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wound. That's my wound, right?
I see.
So how many men and how many women listening go, oh my God, like my husband just wants a mother, you know? And look, it's compassion, bro. Nothing wrong with your husband. It's just the best. He's doing the best he can.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with your wife. They're doing the best they can. We are all doing the best we can. I promise you that, even if it's really funny ways of showing it. We're doing the best we can. Our body's compensated. We've identified with those compensations. For better, for worse, it served us or didn't. And at the end of the day, there's a whole gold mine inside of you, not outside of you, that is wanting to be seen. And when you see it, it can completely change every aspect of what it is to be a human. That's really empowering.
And it's really, again, I was moved by hearing this from you. Closing tradition. Ask one question from Unlock the card game. I'm gonna pick a random one.
Unlock the card game.
Come on.
And this is not random. It's
what trait in others do you admire the most?
What I admire the most is courage. And courage to, without fear, express your artistry. I am so attracted to human beings who are unapologetically artistic. And I'm talking about artistry where they don't give a fuck how people perceive it. They wear what they want. They sing when they want to sing, even if they know their voice isn't good. They dance even if they know they can't dance. They paint even if there's no technique to their paint. I am attracted to human beings who are living with courage to be themselves no matter how people perceive it. And one of the most naked ways to be yourself, aside from sex, is art. It's the same energy, actually, creative and sexual energy. Mm. And so what a gift it is to embody yourself through art. What a gift it is to be courage, true courage in that. And yeah, that's what I admire the most.
Thank you, Christian. I'm feeling all kinds of emotion listening to you in this podcast.
It's amazing. Your heart's open.
And I want to thank you for being a good friend and being my neighbor. Letting people know about that. But
yeah.
And always having good, not good intentions, maybe not the right word, but like always felt your heart wants me the best in all of our interactions. Mm-hmm. And thank you for doing all the work that made you into the person you are.
Thank you.
Thank you for the person you were, you are, and will become. And yeah, I was just in complete flow and awe listening to you for the whole podcast. So it was definitely a really meaningful experience of my life, in my life. It will take me some time to digest it, but yeah, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone viewing and listening and supporting my guy and his podcast here, his new podcast. And thank you for giving me the platform to speak, man. Like, I speak from my heart, and I know you felt that. And when people speak from their heart, we can feel it and we feel emotion. That's the gift. And we all have the ability to influence each other. So everyone viewing and listening, there's only one thing you have to do, and is visit your body every single day. And I promise you, it will change your physical, your mental, and relational health. Forever, actually. So go do it. Thank you so much, man.
Period.
Period.